Everyone, I'm Ian and I'm a proud member of the Canadian Kennel Club. The Bulldog is one of the most easily recognized purebred dogs in the world, but this beautiful dog doesn't have such a pretty history. Bulldogs came about around the 13th century in England and they were used for the terrible sport of bull baiting. What bull baiting was a sport where a bull was put against a pack of bulldogs and they fought to the death while people watching would bet on the outcome. The bulldogs of yesterday were ferocious, they were intense, they were seemingly immune to pain, and they were tough. In 1830, bull baiting became illegal, thank goodness, and then a bunch of fanciers got together at a bar and decided they were going to save the bulldog. Along with making some physical changes, they took the ferociousness down in the bulldog and made the bulldog into the sweet bulldog we love and know today. Isn't that right? The Bulldog was recognized by the Canadian Kennel Club in 1889, making it a part of a group that were the first dogs to be recognized here in Canada as purebreds. The Bulldogs are absolutely wonderful and very popular, but few people know their charm like Amanda and Tammy McAllister of Bulldacious Bulldogs do. They've been breeding Bulldogs for over 15 years, and I'm always impressed because Tammy and Amanda have beautiful show dogs, but also healthy Bulldogs, and it's not unusual for them to have a litter that lives to over 10 years old. I'm so excited to talk to Tammy and Amanda. Aren't we? I'm here with Tammy and Amanda McAllister of Bulldacious Bulldogs. Tell us a story how you got involved with Bulldogs.
We started around 2009. I had been involved in standard poodles and toy poodles before then. I was in a car accident that caused a head injury and I couldn't do grooming because I had concentration and memory issues. But I still wanted to be involved in purebred dogs. I wanted to learn photography to teach myself to think again because I was not retaining information. And I thought a bulldog is a perfect dog for photography because they're cute as puppies, they're characters as older dogs, and so that's kind of how we started. Then got into stock photography from there because we realized there was a real hole in market as far as people wanting to see what does a purebred Cocker Spaniel look like, or what does a properly bred bulldog look like. And so we have about 12,000 pictures in our portfolio now, primarily purebred dogs.
For me personally, I always find it hard to spot a bulldogger because bulldog people look and act completely different. You've got the fashionistas who like their bulldogs, you've got the farmers like their bulldogs, the truckers that like their bulldogs. Generations, old people, young people, all love bulldogs. What is it about this breed that appeals to so many people?
I would say it is their requirements for less exercise. The busy families would choose a bulldog, but they don't want one more thing to have to do.
They're very go with the flow, don't you think? Like they can adapt to a lot of situations. If you give them enough care and exercise, they can live in an apartment or in the country, in a townhouse as well.
Yeah.
I love it. This bulldog here is a brindle with white. What other colors? Because there's a few back there I see as well, but generally they seem to be kind of the brown and brindle and white.
Okay, brindle is a pattern, not a color.
Okay.
So bulldogs come in white, red, fawn, and fallow. The red, fawn, and fallow are just varying degrees of the red.
Okay.
You can get your piebald is a pattern, and then you can get brindle in solids and in piebalds.
So what happens when you see sometimes on Instagram someone has a merle bulldog or a black and tan bulldog?
The merle color, the merle gene, is not a gene that is found in bulldogs at all. So if you see a merle bulldog, you know at some point that dog was bred to something with
it was introduced.
It was introduced. So it is that they're not actually purebreds because the bulldog does not carry it. Over the years, we have had a bulldog that had a blue eye, one brown eye, and it is a disqualifying fault in the breed. So you don't sell that puppy and charge more for it as unique and rare. You sell the puppy. It's a perfectly healthy, normal puppy, but it's not breeding stock.
It goes to a pet home.
It goes to a pet.
Well, I hate to interrupt this interview so early on, but it's time to play Bulldog True or False, because this breed has a lot of lovers, but it also has a lot of critics. So let's get right into it. I'm going to start with the first question, and you guys tell me whether or not this is true or false. The first statement I'm going to give you is bulldogs aren't intelligent. True or false?
False. They're stubborn, but they are very intelligent and very trainable with the right motivation.
What motivation do you find works best with your bulldogs, or is it individual entirely?
Mostly cookies. They like their bellies. But individual, I would say, have a few that just want praise and love.
We find too with Bulldogs that their training sessions are better in like 10-minute sessions to a half an hour rather than an hour class. If I were to go train someplace and it was an hour class, I might take 2 Bulldogs with me and just
swap
switch
them out.
Yes.
Very good. Statement number 2. Bulldogs don't require any exercise.
False.
False.
They don't require the same amount of exercise that, say, a lab would require, but they still need their regular walks or outside time to stretch their leg. Moderate weather. Nothing too hot, nothing too cold.
Weather and pools and summertime, true or false, Bulldogs can't swim.
Loaded question. Some can, some can't. Generally, boys cannot swim. They're too heavy in the front.
Oh, so it's a kind of their center of gravity, they can't.
They tip forward
Okay.
and they go down. Head down, and they don't even try to swim.
Oh no.
Females, a little bit better swimmers. I've seen lots of females wakeboard without life jackets, but for us, for selling puppies and placing puppies with families, we would never sell a puppy to a family that doesn't have a secure fenced-in pool, and we would ask for a picture of it.
Absolutely, and you want to make sure that when they're at the beach or on a boat that they're wearing a good quality life jacket as
Right.
well.
And mostly at the beach and on the boat is not the place for a Bulldog. If you want a beach dog or a boat dog, get a Toller or get a different breed, because they don't like sitting in the sun. They don't like being at the kids' baseball games. They are a fair weather dog.
Not too hot, not too cold
hot,
for a
not too
Bulldog.
cold.
True or false, Bulldogs can't breathe properly.
Okay, so this is a little bit of a complex statement. It's multifaceted. You're talking about conditioning. You're talking about nares. You're talking about palates. You're talking about tracheas and saccules. So many factors go into whether or not a Bulldog can breathe properly. If the nose ropes are exaggerated and come over the nose, they can obstruct the breathing. Bulldogs are a brachycephalic breed. Brachycephalic breeds, you have to be careful with their breathing. They're not a boat dog. They're not an exercise dog. They're a non-sporting breed. They're family companions. That's what they were intended for. If you want a jogging partner, don't get a Bulldog. Can they breathe? Can they breathe?
This one seems to be breathing just fine here on my lap. And, you know, when they're bred properly, I believe, when they're bred to standard, when they're bred by responsible breeders who are, you know, really taking into consideration all parts of the dog, I've noticed with Bulldogs, there doesn't seem to be any issue really with the breeding. But when and then when you have people who are irresponsibly breeding Bulldogs, I find that's when you get into problem. When people who are just trying to make money and they ignore prevalent and obvious issues with the dog's respiratory system, and then they breed to another dog that could have a problem, then you end up with puppies and generations of dogs with problems.
And the media itself has not done the Bulldog any favors, because generally when we see a Bulldog in the media, it is an exaggerated cartoon version of the breed. The only place in the breed standard that it says that they're heavily wrinkled is on their face. They're not supposed to be overdone and oozing with skin. That's just not what they are. They're athletes.
True or false, Bulldogs require special skin care.
They do, but I would think that a lab or a husky, say, with a double coat, it requires special coat care. Your naked breeds and your hairless breeds, they require special skin care. Bulldogs, you gotta wipe their wrinkles out and be on top of it. Ear infections, same as any breed that has a hanging ear. Allergies, I think, are more prevalent in all the breeds right now, not just in Bulldogs. I think it's unfair to direct all that. That is a Bulldog thing.
You're just saying, so basically to go over the wrinkles regularly, make it kind of a daily chore to just clean out the wrinkles. Would you use like an unscented baby wipe? Or?
That's exactly it. And nothing has to be, the equipment doesn't have to be expensive. It just has to be regular.
Regular. I love that. Now let's talk about the health of Bulldogs. What health issues are prevalent in Bulldogs? And I know it's going to vary from a poorly bred Bulldog to a responsibly bred Bulldog, but what do you see and what are you testing for?
The Orthopedic Foundation for Animals, they have set tests for each different breed. And in Bulldogs, the things that make up our tick testing, which is your minimum testing required in each breed. Chick testing for a Bulldog is cardiac, patellas, and tracheas. And beyond that, we have thyroid, hips, and elbows. We have a few Bulldogs over the years that have past hips, but it is not uncommon to see moderate hip dysplasia in a Bulldog. They're not field dogs, so they're not out doing it. We had a Bulldog that was 10, and it was how we got into health testing. We x-rayed her, and she actually had no hips.
Wow.
No balls and no sockets. She lived to be 9 years old and died from something completely unrelated. They can thrive. It's not ideal. It would be a dog you would want to breed, but it is not a life sentence for a Bulldog to have hip dysplasia. Just recently, we started a new pilot program for brachiocephalic obstruction airway syndrome.
Yes, that was at the Scarborough Kennel Club.
So we participated in that with 3 of our own Bulldogs. We had 2 that were 1s and 1 that was a 2. A 0 is perfect. 1 is mild, but still a pass. Then you have a 2, which is still, they say it's okay to go ahead and breed a 2, and a 3 would be not meant for breeding. I feel like there's a lot of ironing out to do to get the testing consistent, because when you go to a show, it's got a lot to do with the anxiety of a dog that is at a show, because each dog reacts different to having somebody buy it, whether or not it is the doctors walking the dog or you walking the dog yourself, which it can also affect how a dog reacts to it, speed. Like there's just, I think there's just a lot of variables, but I'm totally on board. I think it's great that it's coming.
I think a lot of people in the brachycephalic breeds are really excited about this, because I think once we get the testing, into a lot of different kennel clubs and areas, a lot of really good breeding decisions can eventually be made. So I think it's a step in the right direction, definitely.
And I agree completely with what you said. It's allowing you to use these tools to make better breeding decisions. It's not a door slamming shut. So it's just being smart about how you make your choices.
Now complete this sentence for me. A good Bulldog owner is someone who?
Not expecting a golden retriever.
Perfect, because there is no perfect. They're in any breed, even in mixed breeds, there's no perfect.
And on that note, to complete this sentence, a Bulldog might not be for you
if you want a jogging partner, if you want a hiking partner, but if you want a dog to go on a 1 kilometer evening walk with you, sure.
That's the one. You want a dog that goes with the flow and is easygoing. I think what's great about Bulldogs, in my opinion, is everyone I've met is super sweet, but has just enough sass to keep things interesting at all times. I find they've got large personalities to match their adorable little faces, and everyone has a different bit of an attitude. And I just think that's so endearing about Bulldogs. Can you tell everyone, if someone is interested in learning more about your kennel or purchasing a puppy from you, what's the best way to get a hold of Bulldacious Bulldogs?
The Bulldog Club of Canada has a fantastic website that lists all the breeders in Canada by province. Our recommendation whenever we get contacted is always to go and visit a couple different kennels, because we all do things a little differently. There isn't one right way, there isn't a wrong way. It's just having families find the breeder that suits their vibe.
So not only do you want to make sure you're connecting with a breeder who has great, healthy, happy dogs, but someone you vibe with as well.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for talking with us today, Tammy and Amanda McAllister of Bulldacious Bulldogs. Can you let everyone know how to get in touch with you in your kennel?
Best place to find us is to go visit our website at www.bulldaciousbulldogs.com.
You guys were great.